Good evening, Monsieur de Richet.
Likewise, Sir Gregory.
Well then, let us begin. Monsieur de Richet, you were found standing over Miss Adams' body. We must shed some light on your responsibility in this tragedy. We shall then decide on your fate. But you must know that if you do not convince us of your innocence, it will cost you dearly. Now you are going to tell us everything that happened last night, without leaving any detail out. First things first, how did your evening begin?
Duchess Hillsborough and I were returning to our rooms when Elizabeth came upon us.
Oh, so you were with the Duchess?
Yes, we were talking. We were walking up the stairs, and it was late.
Where did you come from?
I don't remember. I think we came from the Grand Hall.
Oh, isn't that surprising? Do continue.
We were heading for our rooms when Elizabeth burst into the corridor, barely dressed. She was panic-stricken and insisted on speaking to me. So I found myself in Elizabeth's room. We sat down together. She insisted we have a drink, or she would refuse to confide in me.
What exactly did she want to speak about at such a late hour?
Elizabeth made me drink it more and more until I could hardly stand.
William, this young man is appalling.
Louis, given the seriousness of the situation, you shouldn't try to pass yourself off as a victim.
How tactless. She didn't threaten you if you wouldn't drink, did she? No one forced your hand, especially as it doesn't even answer the question. Let's finish this, William. I don't rightly know how we can give the benefit of the doubt to an individual who can manipulate the truth to absurdity.
Louis, unfortunately, you haven't managed to convince us. You will agree that you had the time and the motive to commit the murder. I am devastated, but I must agree with Gregory and declare you guilty.
Gentlemen, if you please, wait. There is something else. Elizabeth ended up telling me why my mother had tried to treat her.
The voices in her head, is that it?
She spoke to you about them too, didn't she? Gentlemen, I'm not a doctor, but she was persuaded she heard voices in her head. You don't think she might have killed herself,
By
do
stabbing
you?
herself 9 times. I find that extremely unlikely, don't you?
What? Stabbed 9 times?
It appears that the murderer walked up and stabbed her several times from behind. We counted 9 gashes in all. All of them were relatively shallow, and they were all given from roughly the same angle of attack. Traces of blood appear to prove that she was standing throughout the attack.
If that's all the proof you have before dispensing justice, then you'll have innocent blood on your hands. There's no proof I could have committed the murder.
You do know, sir, that the first impression is often the right one. We found you near dear Elizabeth's body. What could be simpler?
Goodbye.
No! Good evening, Monsieur de Richet.
Likewise, Sir Gregory.
Well then, let us begin.
Gregory, Louis told me we needn't be concerned.
Of course. Monsieur de Richet, the situation seems to escape your grasp, so I won't beat about the bush. Did you kill Elizabeth Adams?
Everything's all mixed up in my head. I'm sorry. Look, we had a few drinks, and I think I remember putting laudanum in the wine, and I started getting dizzy. I don't remember anything about last night.
I don't think you could have provided a worse answer to that question.
We must remain calm, Gregory. We have found no evidence that would suggest that Elizabeth has been murdered. For the time being, she has only disappeared. Let's stick to the facts, if you please.
Well, where is she then?
Last night when we talked, she said she felt uncomfortable here and spoke of leaving but didn't say where to.
Knowing Elizabeth, I am sure she must have spoken to you about your mother.
I don't see the connection. What has my mother got to do with this?
Gregory is suggesting he isn't certain that Elizabeth has left the island, and that some misfortune might well have befallen her during the night.
But that's not the case.
Well, that's what you say. You are the last person who saw her alive. There might well be any number of reasons why you wanted her silenced.
No one can substantiate your claim that she left as you said she did, Louis.
Monsieur de Richet, we have given you every opportunity to reassure us as to the fate of Elizabeth. You have only succeeded in plunging yourself into deeper trouble. I will never rest until we are certain that Elizabeth is indeed alive.
I assure you, my lord.
We are obliged to believe you for the moment. Consequently, I shall make you a promise in return. If ever we find out that anything has happened to poor Elizabeth, I shall personally see to it that your head will land in a basket. You don't need us for any of this. So come along, Monsieur Peru. We are leaving.
Could you spare a moment, please, sir?
I'm glad you asked. I want to talk to you, too.
Of course.
I heard about your mother's disappearance.
He looks concerned. I don't know why, but I doubt it's from sympathy alone. Well, let's see what he wants from me.
Any news of her? Have you found her, maybe?
Well, sir, I must admit, I'm a little pushed for time here, so...
Very well. I shan't keep you, Monsieur de Richet.
All right, then. Thank you.
I hope that your search will prove successful and bring Sarah back to us soon. I must go now. I'll see you later.